Influencer back in June. In that first report, a few people detailed their allegations against Allie Holman and her husband, which the Holmans denied.
But since then, more than 20 people have come forward to Fox 9 with serious complaints. This avalanche of information hasn't come only to us, but also to the state attorney general's office. Fox 9's Corin Hogger dug deeper into the allegations and investigations by police and at least one state agency.
And now she's in a coma.
Suki went into a coma and died at the veterinarian's office less than a day after Angela Thompson picked her up from breeders Allie and Mark Holman. The French bulldog puppy had bloody stools right away, and the vet confirmed Giardia was the cause.
She had become septic from not getting treatment, and it went to the brain. That's what the necropsy ended up showing.
Videos and photos of sick and dying dogs add up quickly when customers, partners, and neighbors of Bold North Frenchies come together. We talked to 22 of them for a couple hours recently and noticed a pattern of complaints about the dogs sold by the Holmans.
I noticed that when she went potty, she had bloody diarrhea. It scared me.
We tested positive for Giardia, Coccidia, and Parvo.
She was crusted, full of dried poop. She had this severe diarrhea.
She had the massive diarrhea with the Giardia and that.
Another woman says she paid the Holmans for a male dog and met Allie Holman for the exchange.
She brings this dog to me in the parking lot, and it was wrapped in a blanket. And she said, "Oh, it's because I just bathed the dog, and I just didn't want the dog to be cold."
She says the dog was dirty and not bathed, but she took it home and removed the blanket.
I look at the dog, and I called her right away, and I said, "This dog is female."
7 people have now filed lawsuits against the Holmans for their breeding and sales practices. 1 woman won a judgment. 2 cases were dismissed, and 4 are still active and on the road to trials. We reached out to the Holmans 3 weeks ago for an interview. They spoke only through their attorney, who told us, quote, "The claims against Bold North appear to be isolated and anecdotal," end quote.
How did we get here? It's like the Twilight Zone.
The Holmans threatened to sue people who've spoken up, including Fox 9. Allie Holman posted on social media that our initial reporting was false, though it's backed up by lawsuits and police records. And she posted that we retracted our June story, which we did not. The Holmans did follow through with a harassment suit against one of the women who is suing them. A judge dismissed that case for a lack of evidence. The lawsuit and the threats quieted some people, at least temporarily. People sharing their bad experiences tell me they did feel isolated until they realized how many of them there were.
There is safety in numbers, and when, it's not 2 crazy ladies.
Claims like that came from Allie Holman on her social media. Now, at least 22 are sharing complaints. The state attorney general's office recently met to discuss a potential investigation with a group representing as many as 50 people who claim to be victims of the Holmans' bad breeding practices. But the office cannot confirm an investigation is underway. The State Board of Veterinary Health and the USDA have also received complaints about the Holmans, but they don't discuss investigations.
A spokesperson for the Minnesota Board of Animal Health confirms it has investigated the Holmans breeding operation since 2022, but says that investigation is incomplete at this point, largely because, quote, "the subject of the investigation is uncooperative," end quote.
The city of Dayton's police chief recently told me they still have an active investigation into whether the Holmans have operated as unlicensed breeders, which is a misdemeanor crime. Minnesota defines commercial breeders as anyone selling dogs or cats, having 10 or more adult intact animals, and producing more than 5 litters per year. Bold North advertised as a breeder and wrote contracts as a breeder, and some of Allie Holman's social media posts appear to show more than 10 adult animals at their property. But through their attorney, the Holmans deny operating as commercial breeders during the time being investigated. He also says they don't operate as breeders at all anymore, although social media posts show a company called Bark Avenue selling newborn teacup chihuahuas just this month. Arizona state records show the Holmans officially changed the name of Bold North to Bark Avenue this summer. Some of their accusers also shared emails and texts from last month where the Holmans asked about the heat cycles of bulldogs staying with guardians. Those are the families who usually become owners, but only after breeders finish mating them.
We guardian 9 dogs for her over the span of a year and a half. and she promised us 5 dogs.
The Holman's attorney said the messages gauging heat cycle timing were intended, quote, to discourage other breeders from continuing unethical practices, particularly in breeding dogs with known genetic challenges, end quote. He said Bold North was one of the rare ethical players in the industry. Former guardian Katie Holton contradicts that claim.
You should not breed a dog that has a medical condition like this.
Holton says the Holmans tried to breed Mochi as recently as February, even though she had eyelid entropion, a condition that's usually genetic, where the lower eyelid folded in. Holton says it caused permanent damage and near blindness in that eye before her vet easily identified the problem, leaving her wondering how many others suffered and for how long.
These dogs have just been through so much, and they just don't care.
Corin Hoggard, Fox 9.